So in today's webinar at the Gay Counselling Training Hub, we have Dr. Trevor Hart with us, and he is a professor of psychology at Ryerson University. And it's also through Trevor's research chair grant from the OHTN that makes possible the emergence of the Gay Counselling Training Hub. So welcome, Trevor. And what are you going to share with us today in the webinar?
So hi, Scott. So I wanted to talk to you about social anxiety and working with gay and bi and queer men clients who have high social anxiety.
Okay, great. So let's start at the beginning. What is social anxiety?
Well, social anxiety is anxiety about being evaluated in social or interpersonal situations. And I mean situations that might be classic social situations like going to a party, but it could also be things like going on a date, having a hookup, meeting a new person, and talking to strangers. So it's stuff that could be related to kind of broader social situations, but also kind of one-on-one situations involving other people.
Okay. So now, why is it important for counselors or social workers generally to ask specifically about anxiety their gay male bi clients may be experiencing in social situations?
Well, one of the things that we know is that social anxiety is often higher in members of stigmatized groups or marginalized groups, including gay, bi, and queer men. And from the research literature, we know that gay, bi, queer men and other sexual and gender minority people are more likely than straight people to report that they have been judged by others in childhood and even in adulthood for being gay, bi, or queer or another identity, or sometimes for not conforming to gender norms, not for men, let's say, not doing all the things that the straight guys said that we were supposed to do. For example, so what social activities or what sports we were supposed to be doing, or who we were supposed to be dating, or how we were supposed to be acting. And so all of the kind of the extra stress that we experience as gay, bi, or queer men or other sexual and gender minorities, it stays with us. We still are thinking about how we were treated sometimes, and even if we're not thinking about the past, it still kind of stays with us, that sense of concern about being judged or rejected by other people.
Okay, so that sort of also addresses the why gay bi men may have higher social anxiety than other men.
Yeah, I mean, there are reasons why gay, bi, queer men would have higher social anxiety. It's because they experience a lot of extra stress. They're more likely to report they have been judged by other people, and that anxiety can actually affect how we in the community, how we think about ourselves. It can lead us to feeling more depressed. It can lead us to feeling like we're having a lot of trouble managing situations, maybe without alcohol or without drugs. And we might be more likely to use alcohol or drugs, not just because they might be interesting or fun, but because we're trying to like kind of self-medicate our social anxiety. And that kind of social anxiety can also make it harder for us to be assertive, do what we want to do, to assert ourselves in social situations or sexually, and to have hot and healthy sex.
Okay, so the social anxiety sounds like it can manifest in multiple ways within an individual. So, as a counselor who's watching, what are some strategies or techniques or tools that can be helpful for clients with social anxiety, especially if folks haven't been trained in cognitive behavioral therapy?
Yeah. Well, if I think about the types of strategies that work best for social anxiety, most of them are, when we're talking about counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy and other behavioral therapies do have the strongest evidence for psychotherapy and counseling techniques. And so maybe I'll tell you about them first, but then I'll also tell you to answer your question about, let's say I don't have that experience in cognitive behavioral therapy. But cognitive behavioral therapy is also known as CBT. And the approaches in CBT are also used to help people to identify which situations are hard for them to cope with, like parties or meeting guys for sex or dating or meeting strangers, helping that client to understand his or her their social anxiety, and helping the client to change the way that they think so that the new thinking skills can be used to help that person to cope with anxiety so they're not ruled by the anxiety, but they're kind of managing their own anxiety so they can do the situations they want to do. They can go to parties when they want to go to parties. They can meet new guys. They can have the sex they want to have using their new coping skills. So that's kind of how CBT tends to work. And if people aren't trained in CBT, I'd recommend two possible things. The first is I'd recommend you work with your clients, if you're a counselor, to help them to find out what situations they want to work on and to help them to work on those social situations and say, hey, you're having some trouble with that. What strategies do you already have to cope with anxiety? And what strategies are working really well for you? But if you're hoping to get training in CBT, that is one of the things that we do at the Gay Counselling Training Hub. So we offer a variety of trainings. So for people that already have training in CBT, we could offer training on how to help gay, bi, and queer men who have high social anxiety and to add to their training. But if they're hoping to get some more basic training in cognitive behavioral therapy to learn about how to do it, we would actually be able to help them with that too, and offer a variety of trainings that could be done either through Zoom or through other web platforms, or after COVID, also potentially in person.
Yeah, that's an important point that the GCTH, that Gay Counseling Training Hub, we also offer CBT training as well as motivational interviewing training. So it sounds like today's takeaways from the webinar is that counselors need to be aware of social anxiety generally, but especially in the gay, bi, QT men that they may have as clients. And you listed the reasons why social anxiety may be higher in that client group. And then also these tools and strategies to help support clients that may have social anxiety. You shared some of those with us as well.
Exactly. And so we're all glad to offer trainings for anyone who is interested so that we can support more people in our community.
That's right. Great. Well, thanks for sharing that, Trevor, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.